If you have been following the business news for the last year or so, you probably think that it was one of the best years ever. Yes, we had a global pandemic where millions of the people lost their jobs, but on the other hand, they are the people who made billions. Now we have almost 500 more billionaires that we had last year, and exciting billionaires are much wealthier than they have ever been. Take Elon Musk, for example. At the beginning of 2020, his net worth was around $20 billion. Not bad, right? That made him one of the richest people on Earth. But within the single year, his wealth grew to over $150 billion. And for the brief period he ended exceeded Jeff Bezos as the richest man in the world. It's not convinced why the small minority of the people have accumulated the vast majority of the wealth. It might seem unfair, but if you give it the closer look, it's this small group of the people who made all the money is 2020 followed one basic strategy, and the people who suffered the most of the or made at least amount of the money in any given year don't follow the strategy. In fact, when I struggled to grow this channel, I followed the exact same strategy and it worked. Of course, I'm not the best person to take an example from because there are people who have channels for bigger than this one, but they also used this exact strategy just better than me. So let's find out what the strategy is. Why do all millionaires or even the billionaires follow the strategy, and what is the role of the 20%? While it might seem like the rich got richer during 2020, that's not the case in reality. Yes, a few companies like Amazon, Apple, and the others made the fortunes, but the overwhelming majority of the companies in the S&P 500, which represents almost the entire US economy, had a horrible year. And without the government support, most of them would have gone bankrupt, even those who seemed immune to such crises. Think of the airlines businesses, for example, or the travel industry. All the restaurants had to close down as the result of the shutdown. The lockdown stopped people from driving as often as they used, so the demand for the gas and oil dropped significantly, which led the oil industry to suffer tremendously. Less driving means less demand for the new cars, which dragged down the auto industry. But the reasons you haven't heard too much news about all companies that suffered tremendously is because the few tech companies who represents almost half of the S&P 500 did great. They have grown so big their value is beyond anyone's imagination. So when the entire country was down, these few companies grew and still made the stock market look like the sunshine and rainbows. And that's not by accident because during the any situations it's often the few top players who make most of the money. Take a look at any company, the vast majority of the sales or the profits come from the few products. Even if the company has a lot of products, Apple, for example, which seems like the most successful company in the world, has pretty offer products from the gadgets to services, but almost half of its revenue comes from iPhone. And the other 30% come from the another two products, and the remaining it's products and services only account for the 10 or 20% of its revenue. Take a look at the athletes. When you heard the news that they are paid millions of dollars just to play a single game, it blows your mind. You feel like you should have become the athlete. But the truth is, there are millions of athletes all across the globe, and only the top 1% of these individuals earn 80% of the money that earns in the industry. And the remaining 20% shared by everyone else. And the vast majority can't even make the living by the playing sports. And the same goes for YouTubers. Take the top 1% of the YouTubers make millions of dollars and the rest barely survive. Often you will get much higher ROA rate of revenue by working in the McDonald's than making YouTube videos. Most YouTube videos get fewer than the 50 views. Only 2% get 1000 views or more than 0.3% of the videos get at least 500,000 views. This means the odds of becoming famous via YouTube is vanishingly small. Even if you ended up getting half of the million views, trust me, you are not going to make a lot of money. You don't believe me? Give it a try. You see all these people making videos about how much YouTube paid their per million views. Well, you have to understand that they have been making videos for years, and they are one of the few lucky ones who made it to the top of the chain, and not because they have made that single video and suddenly got so many views. But the interesting part is that top YouTubers follow 20% rule to be at the top. You see, when I started making videos, I made videos about every topic that I found interesting: economics, self-improvement, stock market, personal finance, biographies, and a bit of history, and books summarized. I would spend the entire week reading the books so carefully to make the great summary about it, but at the end of the day, it would barely get any views. I am not even talking about getting paid for the spending so much of my time creating that videos, and barely anyone would watch it. But then I realized that 80% to 90% of all the videos that have channel gets from the finance related topics. That's when I told myself whatever it's worth making other kinds of the videos. So I started focusing on the stocks market, personal finance, and a few successful videos took the channel to where it's now. The 20% rule, the 80 to 20 rule, simply states that 80% of the consequences came from the 20% of the causes. 20% of the driving cause 80% of all traffic accidents. 20% of employers are responsible for 80% of the result. 20% of the drinkers drink 80% of the alcohol. The ratio isn't always exactly 80 to 20, but it's somewhere close to that. 80% of wealth is accumulated in the hands of 20% of people, because 20% people are solving 80% of the problems. 20% of your friends bring you 80% of your happiness. 20% of the books you read bring you 80% of your value you get from all the books you read. 20% of what you do earns 80% of your income. The point is, if you stop doing all these things that don't make your life significantly better, you will have more time to focus on the things that will maximize your productivity, incomes, and happiness. So stop reading and the books that bring you the minimum value. Stop wasting your time with people who barely makes your life any better. 20% of your problems are the result of 80% of your stress. So by getting rid of these problems, you will get rid of 80% of your stress. If you are not going to do this, you are just going to stay average to experience failure after failure. It's very difficult to stay somewhere in the middle. If you're either doing to be successful or a failure, because the life is like the game of Monopoly. The same successful you get, the easier it gets to become the more successful. The more money you are going to make, the easiest it will be to make more. That's why you realize that it took some people 20 to 30 years to make their first $1 billion, and just 1 or 2 years to make their second billion. Remember the example of Elon Musk. Just a little over a year ago, he was not even on the top 10 richest people, but today he is coming with Jeff Bezos on the number 1 spot. If you have enjoyed this video, you will most definitely enjoy the custom playlist that I have created specifically for you, that has our most popular videos on the businesses, investments, and the stocks market. They can potentially change your life. Don't forget to check out your second channel. The link will be in the descriptions. And now give this video a thumbs up so that it deserves, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Thanks for watching, and until next time.